What's up, everybody? Back with another special edition of The Pod Has Spoken. Every edition is special for one reason or another. And this episode, in part, is special because Riley hasn't missed an episode at all this season with us each and every week. And it feels good. Like I can rely on him to be here. And no matter what, thick or thin, any family events that are in his life, he just puts to the side so that we can together as co-hosts break down Survivor each and every week. Riley, thank you again for showing up. It just brings stability to my life. I don't know what I'd do if you ever left for any reason.
You bet, man. My number one priority right here.
That's what I'm talking about.
Why do you guys do this to me? Why do you guys set this up like this? Listeners know we're having a baby later this year. I'm going to eventually miss some episodes. Come on.
But it's fun. Listen, I wouldn't do this every week if there weren't listeners DMing me, telling me this is one of their favorite parts of the episode, is me harassing you for not always being here.
Listeners love our bits, and we love this one too. So
yeah,
there you go.
It's a great one. That Velcro sound you heard in the background was a very good friend of the podcast, Claire from season 44.
Yep.
Boom. It's so hard. 40. It's hard to know the numbers, right?
Oh my God. I was like going to watch this and I was like, what season are we even on anymore? And then I'm at the point now where I'm starting to tell people when they ask me what season I was on, I'm like, I was on 44. And they're like, what season are they on now? I'm like 47. And they're like, oh, like it's already just all the way gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's forgotten, except for that you have this podcast. So people will always and forever remember the name Claire.
Yes. Thank you, Tyson, for keeping me my like sliver of relevance once a year.
I want to get into it here because I got offended pretty early this episode. Offended? Sue tells people she's 45 years old. I'm 45. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like, is this what like 20-something-year-olds think 45-year-olds look like? Like, nobody even blinked an eye. They're like, oh, you're a grandma, 45. That's cool. Nobody, we didn't get a confessional of somebody being like, come on, like, Claire, is Sue what you think 45-year-olds look like?
45 looks a lot of ways, you know? You know, a lot of people look a lot of different ways. So
okay.
If she's 45, sure.
Okay. Riley?
I mean, it's like, it's a weird lie because it's like, she looks like a hard 45. You know, you're like, oh, damn, are you a smoker? What happened?
She's lived a life.
Yeah. Like you spend it all day out in the sun. What happened here?
I also
but you don't want to say that. Kyle was just like, really? And then he was like, oh, that's great. That's what you like sort of changed.
Yeah, you've got a lot of life left.
Like,
I don't understand. Like, maybe it's just because I like lived in like New York where age is literally a figment of your imagination. You have like Eliza Orland who is acting like, you know, my age and we're all like hanging out. But like everyone's so obsessed with age on Survivor. And I'm like, literally like a 41-year-old is like literally a baby but also can be a grandma. So I don't know.
Yeah, but she's not even close to 45.
No. But like, also, what does it even matter? That's what I'm saying. I just don't understand.
That's why it doesn't matter. So if she gets caught out ever, it will matter though. Right? Like if she's like, hey, I was just lying about my age. You're like, for what purpose? And they're like, to fit in. And you're like,
we need her. So she has to make the merge. And so does Saul because Saul is 42.
Yes.
And if she tells Saul, yeah, hey, I'm 45. He'll be like, no way in hell you are 3 years older than me.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's I don't know. Like, could I get away with lying about, could I say I'm 30? No, I couldn't say I'm 30. There's maybe a sliver of me that hopes and thinks that I maybe could, but like, no, I couldn't. Could I say 40? Maybe. Could I say 4? Yeah, you can say a few years younger if you're living okay, but I don't know. I had to text Matt and be like, bro, nobody questioned. He's like, nobody questioned it. I was like,
Really?
I'm just insulted. Day's ruined. Like for me, I was just like, this is what I walk around thinking I've still got it, but people younger than me's perspective is that Sue is what 45 looks like. And then how long have I not had it and not known? Claire, how long have I not had it and not known that I didn't have it?
You don't look a day over 41.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. I think
Yeah.
you were still kicking. If you had gone on Winners at War, if you had told me you were 37, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a few years younger. That's like 3 years younger than I was on Winners at War. It's not like a 12-year jump or whatever Sue is doing.
I was going to vote you out when I thought you were 41, but now that you say 37, we'll
click.
keep you around.
Totally,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. I'll get over it, I think, and we shouldn't probably waste this much time on it, but like that
No, this
really
is good. Tyson,
Yeah.
you should here's some good content for you. You should take a photo of Sue and ask your daughters how old they think she is.
Okay.
I love kids guessing ages because they never have any idea. Like they'll think you're like 50 or they'll think you're like 16 and you're like 30 or whatever.
Yeah, that's really smart, actually. That's smart. Okay, I will do that. I will post it as this Survivor episode is airing this evening.
That's good content.
Okay.
Good content.
We got
There
it,
we go.
dude. Finally, virality.
We hope so.
Yeah, we hope so. Not virality, virality. Let's go to Gata to start us off. I mean, we already started off with my feelings being devastated, like insulted by the whole world. Like people, the fact that like this is supposed to be a cross section of life and nobody on that tribe was like, you're not 45. Come on. But let's go to Gata. Sam freestyle rapping. Should he or should he have not freestyle rapped? Claire.
I mean, honestly, his rap was better than Rome's the other episode.
Yeah.
So that's a point for Sam.
Is this a build up to a rap battle in the future? The merge rap battle?
Yeah, it's actually Final Four Fire Making is replaced with a rap battle.
Can both people lose?
Yes. No, I thought, I was like, great, thank you for that part of your personality. I was like, and like they've just been giving Sam a kind of grumpy at it too. So I was like, at least they're giving him like a little cutesy thing because otherwise he's just like so hungry and getting so cranky.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't eat fruits or vegetables. Doesn't even know what they taste like, apparently. Now he's freestyle rapping. So many red flags for me on Sam. Like we have interactions on Instagram. He's great. He's funny, but I love like that they're showing this. Gata as well. Andy loses his shot in the dark multiple times, just like losing it. It's just like, can you not take that or at least like leave it there or hide it or do something with it? Do you just have to like how? I don't even know the rules of what's supposed to happen there.
No, like literally, I mean, you could put it wherever you want, but if you lose your shot in the dark, it's gone and you like literally can't use it.
But can I, as not Andy, huck it into the jungle?
I think technically you're not supposed to be like touching other people's stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is kind of unfun because what fun it could be if they could just do whatever they wanted. But also like a sneaky, like covering it up with sand.
Yeah.
Come on. That's like fair.
That's probably okay.
Yeah.
That's probably okay. The tribe did the honorable thing and just like told him they looked in his bag, his was missing. And then they told him like, there's so much just like sharing of information that doesn't need to be shared. Like, why?
No, but even weirder was like they made it a teaching moment for Sam to be like a good Survivor player, telling him to go find his shot in the dark. Like the fact that they were like, okay, we'll leave it there. Sam went to him and was like,
coach
hey,
him.
Yeah, your shot in the dark's down there. Go there and like make a scene about it and tell everyone that you found it. And I was like, it's like, obviously, sure, but what?
Yeah. Why? Like that didn't, that also didn't ring for me either. Like, did that make him a better player? And did that make Sam a good Survivor coach? I don't know. I did like the moment though of Sam talking about it, how Andy was the George Costanza, and that he should just try to do everything the opposite of what he thinks he should do. Like that's that. I don't know why I love that so much, but I do think Andy's one of those people on Survivor where like, just do the opposite of what comes into your head and you'll be fine.
Okay, but who is George Costanza?
He's on Seinfeld.
Wait, no way. Claire.
George on Seinfeld?
Oh, man.
One of the most popular
like one of the all-time
sitcom
characters. All-time.
All-time sitcom characters?
Yeah.
Who do you have?
Costanza. Well, I just mean that he's one of them. He's like one of the...
Like how many are there, though? Like how many all-timers? Dozens? Hundreds?
Yeah. I mean, this feels like a classic Ringer ranking that we could do that would rely on some people who are more like well watched with their TV than I am. I've watched Seinfeld, but I mean, come on, man. It's George Costanza. This is like this is the most popular sitcom of the 90s and one of the most popular of all time.
Okay,
Claire,
sure.
Have you not seen Seinfeld?
No.
You've seen 0 episodes of Seinfeld.
Really?
Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever seen any Seinfeld. No.
Okay. Well, I don't want to tell you to watch it. And I liked it just fine. My parents loved it.
Okay.
They thought it was the funniest show ever created.
And this was a good comparison too.
This
I
was
think
a great
Sam,
I'll take it.
Sam nailed
I
it.
heard it. I was like, oh, you probably made a good point.
Yeah. Just Costanza just like bumbles all over himself all the time. Nothing ever goes right for him. And I think there is actually an episode where he does do the opposite of everything he thinks to do, and it all works out for him.
Oh.
He decides nothing's going right, and he like goes up to a woman in the cafe that they're always hanging out at, and he's like, "Hi, like my name's George. I'm balding. I'm unemployed, and I live with my parents." She's like twirls her hair and is like, "Tell me more."
Yeah. So maybe that would be a good way for someone to play Survivor, a great experiment, but I don't know who's bold enough to ever do the opposite of whatever comes into their head. The other moment from Gata that we get is the Breadwinners and the controversy that this brought. And this, again, just sharing information. Sierra. Why does Sierra need to tell Andy about the Breadwinners? It did lock Andy in, but he had nowhere to go, and he was already locked in. And then Andy tells Sam.
Yep.
And then Sam circles back and confronts Sierra angrily. Optimal gameplay here?
I don't know if it's optimal for any of them. Nobody sat on the information. It was like, let me just see what happens.
It was just worse for all of them. Yeah, it was worse for all of them.
I don't even know
They're
what to
in
say.
an alliance, and this information that they share openly but not in the correct order is bad for all of them.
I feel like it just showed me how like tenuous it all is too. Like the fact that they were the fact that then Sam was annoyed that he didn't know the name of the alliance.
Yeah.
Like when she had told him about the alliance, he was like, but you didn't tell me it was called the Breadwinners. And it's like, okay, like you guys, like, but I feel like they just haven't had enough to do.
Well, yeah. And part of it is like, yes, Sam's like, Sierra's my number one. She tells me everything. Then he finds out a little tidbit of information that she hadn't told him. And I think he's also, even though he's claiming he's not, I think he's offended that they're calling themselves the Breadwinners. Like, oh, I'm not doing enough around camp type of thing. Which I'd be like, yeah, be the Breadwinners. That's awesome. Like, just sit back here in this hammock and relax. Yeah, I thought that was funny. I thought, like, they're a threesome. They're supposed to be a threesome. Annika and Rachel are right now supposedly a little separated. Sierra's playing both sides. But it's just so funny that they're in an alliance and now all three of them did it to themselves. They didn't even have somebody throw a wrench in there somewhere. It was just those three were like, we should make cracks today. Let's make cracks. You're like, okay, I guess for what purpose, but that's cool. Sue, after lying about her age, finds this advantage. She's hunting around, saying how badass she is, what an adrenaline junkie she is. She finds this advantage, and we knew it wasn't blood. From the moment they teased blood last week, we knew there was no blood involved. Did she play this right? Like Claire, how would you have gone about this if you chopped this giant paint bucket out of a tree?
No, I feel like she actually did a good job, except for not remembering to wash her face. But like, and that was just like, whatever.
There's no mirrors out there.
Yes, so
No.
true. But like, yeah, no, and also, no, I'm not gonna say what I'm thinking.
You should say what you're thinking.
Well, like, she also still has mascara under her eyes, so clearly she's not washing her face that much.
Is it mascara or is it tattoo?
Oh, you think it's tattooed?
Oh, I don't know. I just
maybe.
know that a lot of people do the tattoo so that kind of sticks around long when everything else is gone.
Yeah, I know. It's what's interesting to me is that whatever she has on her eyes is still there, but it doesn't look like a tattoo because it's moving.
Maybelline? You think it's Maybelline?
I think it's Maybelline.
Okay.
But either way, I feel like
maybe.
she did a great job. I'm so curious how long that actually took her because it was so much paint.
Oh
it was
my
like
gosh.
so much paint.
So I would have left the whole mess, ran away from it, grabbed the thing, got to the poop zone in the ocean where like they have the designated poop zone where it's like, nobody go in this part of the ocean. It's for pooping only. And you get in there like you're pooping and scrub all the way off in the poop zone.
Do you think they would have let her?
Yeah. Yeah, they would have let her. They would have let her scrub off in the poop zone. And then just left the mess for everyone to lose their minds over.
No, I thought the drama of it all would have been fun if she wasn't painted.
I mean, there's still drama. There's still going to be drama. But I think she should have focused on just cleaning herself up and not the whole mess and get back and just leave the mess because it seemed like a lot. Tiana and Catherine, is that who walked up on her?
Yeah, those two.
They knew something was awry from the second.
Well, she was like, I cut myself with the machete.
Shoot.
And then she was like, actually, no, wait, I didn't cut myself with the machete.
She was also leaning on the well when they got there. She was like leaning on the well and they're like, are you good? And she's like, yes, I'm good.
Yeah.
It was like so weird.
Have you ever seen someone bite their tongue so hard that they get blood in their hair?
No.
Or I feel like that'd be a very large like medical emergency.
Well, part of me would be like, we got to call medical right now because you are waffling on your story. You're not making sense. I don't think you're in your right mind. Medical, 911 emergency. This woman, something happened. That's like how I would feel for a while. But the fact that she's like, no, I'm okay. I'm really okay. I'm like, you have something.
Yeah.
But I think it would have gone a lot better for her had she grabbed the thing out, ran to the poop zone at the ocean, and scrubbed off as best she could. But even still, red paint is hard to get off, and you don't have mirrors out there.
I wish that they had made it dye. Like, I wish that I love the idea of like actually being caught red-handed and like that she would have had to just like walk around with her hands or like done something where it was like, I liked the idea that they made the paint more difficult to get off.
Yeah. It was good. And then they they knew what they were doing. The whole red-handed line, because she played into it perfectly. Didn't want to get caught red-handed, but she kind of did. She got caught red-faced, red-haired, red-armed, red-fingernailed. And nobody's believing that Sue isn't up to something. We've wasted enough time with those two tribes. Let's go to Lavvo. The classic Rome versus Saul continues. We opened the entire episode in the dark with Rome just being like, we should just tell Saul it's him and that I'm playing this advantage on him and he is cooked. And everybody just kind of giggles like they are so into it. And Saul is looking for an advantage, but Rome is just like thwarting his every attempt to the point of bullying. Is this what you have to do here as Rome or as Rome's alliance? If you're wanting Saul to go, is this just like the play? Is there a more delicate way to do it? I've been guilty of this. I actually had an idol, but I followed people around that were hunting for an idol I knew wasn't there so that they wouldn't think that I had it. But it did feel like bullying. Like,
were you like up in their face? Like, hey, I don't have to go, Like, I mean, Rome was like,
He
wouldn't
was
let him
aggressive.
get like more than 6 inches away from him. It was excessive.
Yeah. And the thing is that, it was excessive, but Rome also didn't probably want to walk around all day. So he was just like, don't look for it. I'm just going to, I need you here so that I don't have to walk around all day. Cause even for me in that moment, I was following Tina and Katie around and I already had it. So I'm already like on my high horse thinking like, oh, I've got the best of these two and they don't even have a clue. So like Tina would like pretend like she had found something and I'd be like, mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm not even here for you. I'm here for everyone else back at camp thinking that I don't have an idol. That's what I'm here for. So Rome just, and it just sets it off. And we get this moment where Genevieve is put on Saul duty and she kind of offers him a branch. She's like, I'm willing to work with you. And Saul's like, I will lock in with you immediately and forever. You're Genevieve. You buy in that, Claire? Are you looking to jump ship with a Rome? If you're as locked into Rome as Genevieve seems to be, is there any reason to go Saul's way?
I feel like Saul's a little less annoying.
Sure. But Survivor isn't about the annoying. It's like, who can you trust to give you the information and to protect you?
No, but I think Genevieve, who honestly Slay, I'm so annoyed that they have actually, like, I was literally like, every episode where they flash the one like reaction she has, I'm like, oh, Genevieve, amazing.
Yeah. I thought she was going tonight because they showed her so much.
Yeah, no, literally it was like, what is going on? And also because it's so weird when they show you somebody that they haven't been showing at all and you're like, wait, she's actually such a good narrator. She seems super actually normal and like a real player. So like the fact that you just like haven't seen her is crazy. So I agree. I was like, what is like happening? But I feel like she is like super smart and you can tell I think she can tell that she's like was not locked in with Keyshawn and Teeny, at least as close as the two of them were. And I think she started to like see that and realize like, okay, no matter what, I need to start exploring because she can't just get by with Rome and him finding every advantage on the island.
Yeah. I like that we started seeing more of Genevieve, and I also love that we started to see her come out of her shell from what we've seen. Like, I'm sure she's been there and present the whole time, but at this point she's like, I have to start playing the game. And so she does, which we will definitely get to. But let's go to, before we get to the full Lavvo scramble, we go to this challenge, the immunity challenge, chickens for the winners, eggs for second place. And Lavvo is leading the entire way until Rome just totally shits the bed. What are you doing if you're on his tribe here? Like Saul, I love how Saul is like, that's not that piece. No, Rome, it's not that piece. Hey, Rome, it's not that piece. That one doesn't work, Rome. And Rome's ignoring him and purposely like trying to make it fit. Even to the point where like we get Jeff even being like, Rome took the captain chair and he's just having Genevieve hand him pieces. And then like, what was going on?
I don't think I've ever seen a puzzle like this where they didn't get a single piece.
Yeah.
Without it being like, unless you're way behind on the obstacle course or whatever, which they weren't.
Winners at War, when I got voted out the first time, Nick and Sarah literally took 30 minutes. We had such a huge advantage over the other tribes. And Nick and Sarah bumbled through the whole thing like a bunch of idiots. And
tell me how you really feel.
But they couldn't. And I'm like, oh, I should have done it myself. Like I could have definitely done this. They got pieces, but I don't think they were in the right place. It was one of those ones where like it was, you had to build a cube.
Yeah.
And so I think they had pieces, but none of them were in the right place and they were unwilling to go backwards. So they just stared at a partially incorrectly built puzzle for 30 minutes while I watch the other tribes catch and beat us to my demise.
Yeah, it's literally the worst feeling. I was thinking this exact same thing because, like, for Saul, he knows he's on the chopping block.
Yes,
and so
yes.
sitting there in the back seat where somebody who you actively hate, who is like the one gunning for you, is also has your fate by just like, and cannot figure out how to put a literal puzzle piece. Like, I remember the episode I was voted out. I knew that I was like in trouble going into the challenge, but I like, and it was just like fucked because it was the like insanity, those 4 cubes. And it was like one that I was like, I had not memorized or practiced that. And Matt and Franny had felt really good about it. But sitting there and not being able to help and watching people just like bumble a puzzle is the worst feeling
Most
of your
helpless.
life.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was even able to be pretty chill about it and be like, it's not like other people, anyone else would have been like, it's not that he's like, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody who's like, do you want to switch roles? Like, he was still so measured and like calm about it in a way that I was like, I literally like, and they were doing so badly.
Yeah. I mean, but Saul even tells us, he's like, it's everything within me to just like stay chill. Like, I have to stay chill, but like, it's so annoying. Yeah. And I mean, even Jeff is like, a rare sight. A puzzle ended the same way it started, and they got there first. Like, I think we've seen people not get puzzles as they're like dead last or like barely get to them or whatever. But the fact that they had the most amount of time and didn't put any pieces, like I said, I'm 99% certain that a puzzle I saw wasn't done correctly. So there were pieces placed, but they weren't in the right place. So does that count the same? I don't know. But this empty puzzle is just hilarious. And the fact that Rome didn't feel any urgency. Like, he doesn't
He was
change
just sitting
cadence.
there like,
Yeah.
he was like,
He
just
changes no
pretending.
cadence. Like, not even like, oh my God, like there a sense of urgency at some point where or most people would just be like panicking.
I know. Well, and that was my other thing was like, I feel like Genevieve like could have at some point run over and started trying on the other side.
Yeah.
But I feel like at some point she's like, this is a sinking ship. I'm just going to keep handing him the pieces. And like, this is Rome's ship. Like, I'm not going to be the one to like be fumbling the puzzle. And like, also the like icing on the cake was like, Saul did so well at the upfront of the challenge. Like, he literally carried with the throwing the, which I liked that. I thought that was a fun one.
Yeah, I thought so too. I wanted to ask so they recalled the one because it went through and knocked the pieces over.
Yeah.
Should that be a recall? I feel like that's hard to always monitor.
No, but at the same time, then like if you don't recall it, then you could just literally like say fuck it and like just be only aiming for the thing, because then you only would have to just aim for the platform, and you could just reset it up, aim for the platform.
But resetting it does take time every time.
Yeah,
so
but
if you're
I think,
able
like,
to hit the thing without having to reset, I think more attempts. Maybe you have to get 5 beanbags on there. It's okay if it falls as long as the beanbag lands, but you do have to reset every time it falls. Because then you're just like, you're taking a risk of like, should I potentially give myself more time, add time to it, but get it right? Or should I?
I think it's just pretty tough to land them if you're knocking over the blocks too, because it's going to like send the bag.
But I also think though, like the other thing that's hard about it was you got 2 attempts and then you had to run and pick stuff up, which takes a lot of time, takes effort too.
Yeah.
So like, if you, for your rule, I like it, but I think you would have to like run and get it in between every attempt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's where you like lose a lot of time. And so fine, it can land if you mess it, but you still have to go like re-grab stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I just thought like, let's make these people choose about taking time penalties and being more careless or more exact and slower.
The issue with all of this is, and this is like my big thing, and honestly, I thought this was like a fun multi-part challenge, and I actually thought it was cool, but every single challenge, like none of that even mattered because the puzzle was like, what, 40 pieces or like 30 pieces, something pieces. Yeah. So like, that marginally changed, but when you have puzzles that are so much more time and like effort intensive than any other part, it like literally doesn't actually matter. That like that throwing part, as long as they made it at some point, didn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. So let's workshop this then. So how should challenge builders moving forward if the puzzle takes the dream team 20 minutes to solve, then how much time should the rest of the challenge take?
I think it looks good and it like uses the teamwork thing or whatever. So like again, it doesn't matter. Like
Mhm.
I just like because it's fun and it's epic and it'd be so boring if they just said like start in this map, run to the puzzle, do the
Yeah, but
puzzle,
I'm
and then you're
saying
done.
make the other part of the challenge longer or more difficult
Yeah.
so that it does matter.
Totally.
Yeah.
Or like that's when like the relay challenges are fun too, where like if the stakes are higher because at least you have individuals in charge of different parts. Whereas, like,
Yeah.
again, it's the whole team. So it doesn't really matter if one person's like slower or weaker. And then you have the two people doing the puzzle. So the blame's on them. But if you could only do one part of each thing, then then time starts to matter in people's heads and stuff.
Okay, here's a challenge idea. Do an obstacle course challenge, but it's like where you can each get through it individually, like the face in the mud,
Mhm.
weave in and out, get to this, lower a thing, get the thing, go to the climb up this thing and get to the puzzle. Everybody goes one at a time and they place one puzzle piece at the end of it and then come back and then the next person goes. So each person goes through the entire thing and then places one piece so that nobody can get on like a real rhythm of building the puzzle.
Oh, interesting.
Because a lot of times those just come down to just one person getting a few pieces going and then it just starts coming together. Like Jeff said, the further you get in the puzzle, the easier it definitely becomes.
Especially with these fire ones. Like I know they said it's a new one. Thank you,
Yeah.
Carson, for your puzzles. But I think that once you like, even on the ones that I would practice before, once you got the base, it like is very clear what are the tendrils and what's there. So it's like literally those first three are really
Yeah.
hard to find because
Yeah.
everything's a little curvy. But once you hit those, you can start just building it out. And so this one is one that's like, yeah, once those girls started just like ripping, I was like, okay, like you had the first 10 pieces in, you're gonna just like fly.
Yeah.
But also, how Rome got 0 pieces, so it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter, but had he gotten there like halfway through after a few people had placed a puzzle piece easily and then he still couldn't place one,
Yeah.
it would have been worse.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like even him throughout the day was just like, you know what? None of us were going to get that. None of us on the tribe. And they can't prove him otherwise because they didn't even get to try. So he's just like, I just think it was unsolvable for this group. We're a bunch of like, we can't do fire puzzles. Like we're good at some puzzles, but not that puzzle. And it's like, literally, he was the only one that even attempted it in any capacity.
Also, those are 90% of the puzzles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But I also like, I was like curious on like, I mean, I also agreed, like, I kind of, obviously it was a botched strategy on my end, but I was like, in that moment when I was deciding whether to sit out that last challenge, it was like, can I differentially solve this puzzle? And it was an insanity puzzle and I didn't. And like, that's just not one that I was good at. Had
Yeah.
it been a slide puzzle or something I'd practiced, I would have been like, oh, I should step in. But it's interesting with somebody like Kishan, who's like, I mean, I don't think doctors are necessarily better at puzzles, but when you're like automatically branded as like a smart person,
yeah.
like I'm always interested in the decision, like to
Mhm.
not step in or step in. He obviously felt safe, so he didn't really care. But like, could he have been better? Like, he didn't really talk during the chat. Like, you only heard Saul talking. It's just like interesting. Is it
Yeah.
Saul?
Saul.
Saul.
For Solomon.
Do you-
I think so. I did make a mistake on Winners at War. I should have played that puzzle, not just in hindsight, but like I knew I was on the block. I knew I was kind of targeted. So I should have at least taken it into my own hands.
Yeah.
And then like watching people fail when you know your life is on the line
This fucking sucks.
sucks because there's nothing you can do. You're just sitting there like, come on, guys, don't be doofuses. But they are. And so it's like in this moment, Saul should have been more forceful with doing the puzzle.
Yeah.
Especially Saul. And for those people going back on season
Mhm.
50, if you are a target, do the puzzle.
I agree.
You're going to feel so much better if you get it wrong or right. It's like you're going to feel better getting it wrong and being like, at least I stepped up and that was on me rather than let it be on somebody you already don't trust and don't think is capable of doing
But-
the puzzle.
but
I agree
Rome
100%.
probably- Yeah. Sorry, Claire.
No, go, please.
Well, Rome probably insisted on doing the puzzle.
Sure,
right?
But Saul in this moment should have been like, I'm doing the puzzle, buddy. You set, like, you, at this point, you have to get confrontational. Like, they're confrontational anyways. Like Saul said, like, he's never had someone Rome's size talk down to him that way.
I love how much they hate each other.
It's great.
It is fun TV.
I wanted Rome to go home this episode, but I'm actually glad that they both. We found a way to keep both of them for one more episode at least,
which was genius. But yeah, I think in this moment, if you're Saul, you just have to fight as hard as you can to be the puzzle guy. You just have to be like, I'm on the puzzle. You could at least push Genevieve to the side. Like Saul could have been like, Genevieve, I'm sitting in here. Let me do the puzzle with Rome. Whatever it takes.
I also think I want to know
Saul,
if they were
Saul
able...
and Rome on the puzzle would have been like, please, like we needed that.
Somebody would have died. I wonder.
Saul handing him those pieces? Are you kidding me?
Well, Saul would have looked to see if they fit first, and then handed him the matching one, and then placed it for him.
Dude, he'd been like, get the hell up off the sand. What are you doing?
He was just sitting. Like,
he sits there, twisting each piece in each position. Even, I mean, you got to have some spatial, what do they call that? Spatial awareness?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that's
He's got
called.
like the flames upside down as he's trying to, it's like, come on, dude.
Or like, it was so funny when you're like, it's this big of a hole and he's like trying to put it onto something that's like 3 times as big. And you're like, ugh. The other thing was, sorry, and I hate to, but he was so, like, also at the end, I just love to look at like how disheveled people are. And Rome was so sweaty.
So sweaty.
So and I was sweaty. Like, you were sitting, dude. Like, but he was clearly trying really hard. But like, I was like, that's a lot of sweat.
Yeah.
Well, do you think there's any chance that Rome was throwing this challenge?
I think we would have gotten a confessional.
Yeah, it would have been a really cocky confessional.
The thing is that when you're in a position like this where Rome is, where he feels invincible, kind of, or mostly because he has this advantage that will protect him and all these other things, he's not as pressed to win the challenge. Sure, he probably wants to, and that's good for the group because there's still more people there, but there's not that like life, it's not life threatening to him. So for him, he's like, I'm going to try the puzzle, I'll try my best, but like in the subconsciously or somewhere, he's not threatened by losing this. So
I also think one thing that I'm like learning in my school and that I think is fun is we're learning about self-compassion. And I think Rome is a really, really good example of self-compassion and self-love because that guy will never be down on himself. Like, he literally got 0 pieces and he was like, none of us could have done it.
We're all morons.
The team
all of us are stupid. All of us are stupid.
And he never once was like, that was me. Like, oh, that, like, he was just like, you guys, that was so hard. You're right. Like, you guys could not have done that.
But is that healthy though? Is that like the way I should be living?
I mean, imagine you do live like that, Tyson.
I do a little bit.
I do too.
But I can also admit, like, I wouldn't have come back and been like, none of us could have gotten that. I would have come back and been like, sorry, that sucked. I don't know what happened. I thought I would be better and I'm not.
Yeah, so true.
Was it also like self-compassion when he apologized to Saul and he was like, hey, I apologize if I came off as threatening. Yeah. Or like if you took it that way.
Yeah, if you took it that way. I'm sorry that you took it that I was being threatening and that you... Yeah, it was so backhanded. It's like saying, I'm sorry you're mad.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm so sorry you're mad.
Yeah. Sorry you took that ultimatum as a threat.
Yeah.
It's your problem. But I'm sorry.
It was not a threat. It's an ultimatum is my favorite line ever.
Are they different? Was it a threat or was it an ultimatum?
There's no difference.
It was a threat. It was literally, if you don't do this, I'm going to
an ultimatum is literally a threat.
Yeah, but an ultimatum is like I guess so.
If you don't do this, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, they're both threats. I just thought like ultimatum is somewhat softer somehow, but maybe not. Maybe they're both just threats.
No, I feel like it's the hardest threat, you know?
Okay, an ultimatum is the hardest threat.
Okay, according to Wikipedia, the authority, an ultimatum is a demand whose fulfillment is requested in a specified period of time and which is backed up by a threat to be followed through. So,
yeah. All
it's
right.
literally a threat.
Gotcha, Rome. Ultimatum is a threat. Hilarious.
I
yeah.
liked that as an episode title more than I liked Is That Blood on Your Face? I liked It's Not a Threat, It's an Ultimatum.
Yeah.
That would have been a great episode title. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you win some, you lose some, you know?
Yeah.
So
They lost.
Gata wins chickens. Yeah. Lavvo loses horribly. Gata wins chickens.
What are you doing with the chickens?
I mean, Jeff specifically, a couple things here. We've had seasons in the past where Ty has protected the chicken.
Yep.
We have vegans. We have eggs. Jeff specifically and purposefully was like, these lay eggs, guys. Hint, hint, hint. These are egg-laying chickens. They lay eggs.
Yep.
And then they go back to camp and Rachel wants to cook a chicken, but she doesn't want to say anything. But Sam's bold enough to say something. Sierra loves chickens. Like, what are you pushing for here, Claire? Are you eating a chicken
I'm
or
killing
eating
the
eggs?
chicken 100%.
You are?
Like, oh my God, duh. Like, it's, are you kidding?
But you can have
Also,
like 3 eggs a day.
Oh
to
my God,
split.
you think we're gonna like effectively nurture these chickens to make eggs? And then also like, okay, here's the deal. The only reason you save the chicken is because maybe Sia will give you $50,000. That is the only reason.
She's out.
No, she doesn't do it anymore.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Out
then
now.
there's literally
There's
no
no
reason to save a
reason.
chicken because saving a chicken on Ty's part, good play. He made a lot of money off of that one move. But
Okay.
at this point, like, right, there's like maybe 3 or 4 more rounds. So you've got like a week left before that. You haven't seen, fine, the seasons they've seen haven't had swaps because, or no, they saw 45.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
even know that people are swappable, 44 swappable. So me personally, I'm eating so that I don't lose the next few challenges because the only thing you can count on, or I have the plan to like parse them out. It's 3 chickens. I ate 1 chicken today. I ate 1 chicken in 2 days. I ate them like the day before the challenge because I want protein and I want to win and I don't care about bringing them to the merge.
Yeah, that is true. You don't really care about bringing them to the merge. That's a good point.
Yep.
You keep them and you like feed them and you.
I don't want to kill a chicken personally. It's not that I just don't think I could like effectively do it. Like I watched Russell Hantz run around holding a chicken's head, smacking its body on the trees as he ran through the jungle and to kill it. And that for me has affected me.
Have you guys ever seen the show Kid Nation? The only reality TV show I should have gone on instead of Survivor.
It's Survivor for kids, right? It's like Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, they put 40 kids in Bonanza City, an abandoned town. It's the best show in the world.
Okay.
And they see what they do. The kids are from ages like 8 to 15, and they have to like form their own government and like they give them like class structure and all this stuff. But there was a whole episode where they got chickens, and there were a bunch of kids who protest the chickens. And when you put a bunch of kids together, they decided to kill the chickens. And they just grabbed the kids that were protesting. The kids like literally were like hiding the chickens. They literally had the big kids pick up the kids, move them, and then they killed the chickens.
And did they prepare them and eat them and everything?
Yeah. Well, they had like a kitchen and stuff, but they prepared them. They had chicken soup that night. Everyone was cheering. Like the 2 kids were crying, but like who cares? The other 38 were thriving. But I'm like, if the kids can whack a chicken, you can whack a chicken.
I mean, in a survival situation, I could, but this is Survivor where you're not surviving. So a couple things that are going to cross my mind here with the chicken is I don't want to be the one killing it. I don't want to be the one killing it on camera. I don't think I could go about really killing it. I could.
But let's say you're on an island with like a dude who runs a chicken farm or something. He's like, I've got experience. I've killed hundreds of chickens.
I'm not making a huge I'm not making a huge stance.
You're like, I'm having chicken dinner tonight.
I'll eat chicken if we're eating chicken, but if we're not eating chicken, I'm also fine with that. But also, like, there's optics involved with also killing animals on TV, on screen. Like, I am self-aware enough to be like, I don't want to be the chicken murderer on TV. Like, I'll be the friend of animals on TV. You're
providing for your tribe.
Wait, so is it different? Is it different than when Rome goes and catches those little baby minnow fish? That's my only thing.
Yes.
Like you fished on Survivor, no?
Yeah. I didn't love the idea, the fact that I mean, I don't know. There's a little hierarchy, and I don't know why there is, but like, there's a difference between eating a horse and eating a cow. There's a difference
Totally.
between eating fish and eating a dolphin. There's
Well,
a difference between
it's all about proximity to like humans.
sure.
Yeah.
And I killed an octopus on Winters at War, and we ate it, and I did not. I felt a little sad because octopuses are
Wait, they're so smart.
rad. But like I did it and we were hungry. And in that moment, I was very hungry. And so, yeah, I get it. And I wouldn't be opposed to someone else killing the chicken, but I personally am not going to take it on myself to kill that chicken.
Yeah, but Sam's going to kill the chicken. So
Like, yeah, Sam's going to kill the chicken. Sure. But I don't want to be present because Sam hasn't tried watermelon. He doesn't know how to ethically and properly kill a chicken for consumption.
So valid.
So I'm stepping away, and I might not even eat it if they because you gotta like pull the innards out of it and everything. And if I don't think that that's done properly like that, I think you can get sick from that
so this is a food safety issue for you.
A little, no, it's not fully a food safety. I think cook everything and you're probably mostly okay. But like, do I trust Sam to like get the innards out of that thing? I don't know.
I think I do trust him. All he eats is like chicken and
meat. Yeah,
meat
that's
and
true.
stuff.
I guess.
He probably knows it better than anybody.
I guess so. I don't know.
Either way, I hear you. I just like, I'm at this point, like, I think we had a couple people in the past who like hadn't eaten meat who like decided to keep that and then like withered away. And then there's people who said, okay, this is a very extenuating circumstance in which I am stranded on an island competing for $1 million. And like, I'm already lying, cheating, stealing, bullying other people, doing all these things. Might as well murder a chicken.
If anything, I feel like if you're already like a meat eater, it almost feels better to me to actually like kill a chicken yourself.
Yeah.
And
the whole Mark Zuckerberg thing. Where
then to be like, oh,
anything.
I'm just going to be so far removed from this process that now I feel nothing because I'm just buying this stuff at a grocery store. It doesn't even
That's
look
how
like
I
a part
want
of
to
an
feel.
animal anymore.
That's how I want to feel.
Yeah.
Also, I want to caveat that I was also a vegetarian for 12 years of my life.
Okay.
So I like animals. I like really care about them.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm just gonna kill the chicken.
Yeah. So I think if we're surviving with no end in sight with a group of people, there's no voting out, there's no survivor game. I'm fighting to keep the chickens to hopefully have 3 eggs for however long we have to be there.
Sure, I agree with that.
Yeah,
I'm 100% down for. That's like the chickens are for like emergency situations.
Scenario, sure.
But
I'm gonna
I
do
am
eggs.
now with you, Claire, because I've always been this stance. Eat all the shit you can as quickly as possible because you don't know how long your life in this game is. So
and they'll give you more.
If they're
gonna let you actually starve.
If they're gonna kill a chicken, kill 3. We're eating 3 tonight. We're eating 3 tonight.
Keep one.
Nope. We could go to tribal tomorrow and I could get voted out. I want bits of all 3 of that stuck in my teeth as Jeff snuffs my torch.
Yeah, I want to get snuffed while I'm full, not hungry.
So okay, I'm back in. We're eating all 3. I'm like, we're eating 0 or we're eating all 3, and I will fight for either one of those stances. Whoever is the majority is the side I am taking, but I will fight as hard as I can for one of those 2 choices.
If it's one person who is just being that whatever,
Ty,
or like Sierra in this case.
Okay. Yeah. What are you doing?
Sorry.
You're just saying sorry. I think that's where you have to be delicate a little bit.
I would be so nice. I would be like, I also would probably go to her and be like, I can't believe they killed the chickens.
Yeah,
like,
look, the group wanted to, and I was like, you know what? I'd rather just have them all 3 go at the same time so that they don't miss their friend. It's like probably more ethical.
I'm still spacing them out, but yeah. And then I'm gonna say, I'm so sorry. Like I just
you're not spacing them out because I'm there. We're not spacing them out, Claire. We're eating all 3. We're having a feast. We're making most of the rice too. If we have rice, to go with the chicken.
Chicken rice would be so good. And then imagine this. I'll be like, I'm so sorry, but I saved you like the drumstick.
Yeah. Yeah. Here you go, Sierra. Eat it. She would. Do you think she would eat it? Think she's going to eat some chicken?
I think the reason she didn't want to eat the chicken was because she goes to bars and breweries where they have chickens running around.
To pet. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of funny to me too. It wasn't like she's like, oh, I grew up around chickens, or like we had a neighbor with a chicken.
I think people who grow up around chickens are down to kill chickens though.
Yeah, it's actually the opposite. So she's got the exact right level of like proximity to chicken to care about them without just seeing them also as like a means to an end.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Either way, another lovers quarrel. The two of them who aren't in love and have other partners. Another little spat.
I think I figured out while we were talking about some of the other tribes, what's happening with those three, which is it's an alliance triangle. It's like a love triangle, but an alliance triangle.
Yes.
Sam's number one is Sierra, but Sierra's number one is Andy. And Andy's number one is Sam.
Yes.
And so they're just going. That's how like that information got delivered, and that's why they're all having this like breakdown too.
Yeah.
They're not in agreement on who their number one.
Also, worth note, and maybe they're not showing us, but like the fact that Annika and Rachel are just vibing on the side, thinking they're so like
chilling,
good.
Yeah,
it's like, okay.
Are they good? Like, should they be that comfortable?
I get why they think they're comfortable, but if I have learned anything from Survivor and my season is that if you think you're in an all-girls alliance, 1 in 100 times that's true.
Okay.
99 out of 100 times there's a girl who's wants a guy as her number one and isn't going to vibe with you.
Yeah. That's why when people always are like, Tyson, it's an all-girls alliance. Like, those never work out because the thing that it's the same. I mean, and it's not just, this is not sexist. It's not just women, it's men, it's whatever, it's age, it's edge lines, it's whatever like thing you have preconceived going into the game. As soon as trust is built between people, all of that goes out the window. You can maybe hold it together for a vote or for a couple votes, but it's not about being all women or all men or all the same age or all whatever demographic. It's about the trust between the individuals, and that usually trumps. Sure, in the game of Survivor, there are moments where you have to cut the people you trust to win the game and work with other people. But these early stages of the game where it's like, we're running this thing all the way to the end because Sue, this is the 45-year-olds alliance. And I knew going in that we were only going to play with 45-year-olds. That was my whole thing. And so it's you and I, and we'll snack on all the other 45-year-olds. They'll pull them in, and then everybody else, dead to us. Like, that will never work. Like, I can't even trust Sue to tell me the real age she is. So, yeah, all girls thing, all guys thing, all whatever thing. When you're looking around in Ponderosa before the game has even started, throw all that out the window. You can use it as.
Said, some people would be down to do that. I personally would have loved to keep women in. Like, I do think, especially as a group that people are afraid of or target like a lot, it's good to stick together. But it's just like, we had the Black Widow Brigade did such a fucking good job that now every man who has ever touched foot on the beach is so afraid of women's alliances. But
they trusted each other. That's why it worked. It wasn't. Right. It wasn't because they were all women. It was because they trusted each other.
Right.
And
people are just
why.
afraid of that because it was such a good example, and it's easy to like say, "Oh, that's a forever." You know, it's like how people still meet a pretty white girl on the island and go, "Oh, she's gonna be part of like we have to get rid of her."
Or they see a super strong dude and they're like, "He's gonna win all the challenges." And they're like, "Nope, he's gonna win." Probably 0 challenges because there's puzzles and balance. Yeah, like, no, I get it. So, yeah, I don't think that, like, it all comes down to trust. Like, if Sam trusts Sierra more than the Breadwinners thing to happen, then he shouldn't be threatened. But it's tricky. Like, you hear things and you're like, what is real? And that's the whole game of Survivor. Oh, 1 second. I'm getting a cramp in my hamstring.
Oh, no.
Dude, have you ever cramped from podcasting?
This is tough stuff.
Okay. Got it stretched out.
This is what 45 is, I think. Yeah.
This is what, Sue hasn't cramped. Damn it. People don't realize, Claire, that podcasting is brutal on the body.
No, it's real serious work.
I wanted to say that this is what Survivor is like deciphering what is actually real. And that's the whole headache. And people ask me, they're like, what's the main difference between being on the show and watching it and seeing it play out on TV. I was like, on the show, there's 1,000 of similar ideas of the game of what you're seeing on TV, but they can't share them all because that's like every second it's changing and it's a different group split up a different way. And you have to decipher what is actually real out of all these conversations.
And you're not in those conversations. So it's not like you know what else is happening.
Yes.
You're only getting you're getting like mostly secondhand stuff, or you're in the conversation and you're like, is this real? I thought that was actually really smart. I think was it Andy this round, and this is jumping ahead, but at one point he was so like self-aware when he was talking on the journey where he goes, I'm a low information player. Like I have very little information. And that's true. He knows people aren't talking to him or giving him stuff. And it's just like, I thought that was actually very aware for him to be like, I actually am like playing with less information than everyone else has because no one's talking to me.
Yeah, let's go to the journey. Gata wins the challenge. They get to choose. It's Andy, Teeny, and Caroline go on a boat to this sandbar in the middle of nothing. I think it might have been where Winners at War actually started, where the first challenge was. And they all share information. So they go around the circle and say what's going on. And Andy I thought he did a good job there too. I think he did a little too much though. Like, can that come back to bite him? Like if you're Teeny or Caroline and you get to the merge and you're like, hey, everyone on Andy's tribe, he said he's the crack and to come to him. Like,
I mean, he said it out loud at the challenge. He says it out loud at a challenge.
He says it all the time.
Like, I don't know. If, like,
nobody's even taking steady stock in what Andy's saying.
Like he's so, I think and also like, I don't know. I feel like he said that in actually a relatively diplomatic way about it.
Okay.
Like, I actually thought he did a decent job on this journey.
Yeah, I didn't mind it, and Caroline talks about a bro alliance that's not happening anymore, so they're chill. And Teeny is just saying it's Rome versus Saul. They get this thing that's like once you turn over the timer, read the note. What are you doing here? So you read the note and it says like, if one of you gives up a vote, then all of you get an advantage. If none of you are willing to give up your vote, then you all lose your vote and nobody gets an advantage. This seems like as soon as you find two people who are absolutely unwilling and unwavering.
Yeah.
Did you see
first two?
Yeah. Did you see Squid Game?
Yeah.
Where the reality TV where they had to choose the shape of the cookie that they had to trace out.
Yeah, and they like were murdering the lines of people or like
And so they just were like, just stand your ground, and eventually one guy will buckle on the hardest challenge.
Right. And the weird thing about the specific thing that I think this was a good read, especially on is that Caroline?
Yeah.
Then like it was a good read of like, so yeah, everyone has that same exact self-preservation instinct, but one person there has the most because they are going to tribal that night.
Yeah.
It's like the reverse of what happened when Chanel and Omer went on that journey. And like Chanel was like, I'm down in numbers. I'm going to tribal today. I have no way to risk my vote. And then she risked it. But like any rational person, like if you're going to tribal that night, you should be trying to protect your vote. So they knew that they had like more leverage over Teeny to like say, okay, like we're gonna, you know what I mean? Like Teeny was just in a more desperate position.
I feel like Teeny then could have been, I don't know, because they're losing their vote if they don't agree.
But to them losing their vote doesn't matter as much because they're not going to tribal that night. And Teeny's now like, I'm losing it no matter what. I'm losing it no matter what. So do I punish these people? No, you can't punish them. You got to take the risk at that point.
I think Carolyn was about to fold too.
I did too. That was an interesting thing where like I think Teeny still could have played it better. Like
there was so much time left in the hourglass too. There was so much sand. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to fold, I'm folding at the last possible second.
I'm going to give them
every opportunity to fold first.
Yeah. I agree. I get not making people mad, or the opposite. You're doing, hey, right away. You're going, hey, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you this gift. You don't like say, let me run the numbers. Let me think this is rational for me. You go, like some people have done this in the past in these scenarios where they go, I want to build trust with you guys. I want you guys to like us to work together. I'm willing to risk it for you guys, not making it about whether you have the ability to on the back end. Because then they start to go, oh, well, we forced her or forced their hand and then like have to do it this way. You know?
And now they're resentful of you because they forced your hand. I think and honestly, obviously this is hindsight because now I know what I would do. I've had time to think about it. I would get there. I would read that. I'd immediately be like, I can't lose my vote.
Yes,
I'm
100%.
on the bottom. I cannot lose it. I will not give up my vote for this. But because I'm on the bottom and because I can't give up my vote and because I hope that one of you does so that we can get advantages, I will be with you at the merge no matter what. This is a group. I am willing to operate with you two under any circumstances. Let's connect at the merge and then figure out a way to vote them out so that I can have an idol to myself.
That's smart.
Yeah. Oh my God. The shared amulet. I read that.
It's
and I
the
was
worst.
Like, oh,
They've done that before.
The other in hindsight is this isn't even an advantage. This is like a disadvantage. This is just a giant
especially because they all went home and said, "Here are the 3 people holding."
Why
them.
did they do
can
that?
Can I just chuck that thing in the ocean the moment I get it? Like I don't even want that.
I would have gifted it to a friend.
You can't chuck it in the ocean because if you chuck it in the ocean, then it already loses power. But maybe people still have to vote you out.
I'm gonna gift it to somebody in my tribe. I'm gonna say here, like then you have the knowledge of where it is. It's never gonna work.
Yeah.
It's like literally never gonna work. And then so my question was and I loved how they were like, oh my God, this is so new and different as opposed
it's
to
happened. They've done a shared idol before that and it worked exactly the same way.
No, it works a little bit differently.
This one's technically collaborative versus but it's similar to the one
it was like, if all 3 of them are together, it's an extra vote. If there's 2 of them, it's a steal a vote.
Yeah.
This one, it's an idol all 3 times. That's like the slight tweak. It's
okay.
But the thing is, it's still like the incentive is vote out the people that you know.
Because then you can control it. And the other thing is like, they're like, this could help us with the mega lines. I'm like, between all 3 tribes? Like, literally between all 3 of you. And then this reminds me of like, what was it? Was it with like Jason and that guy? Like when there was one time there was a split idol where you had to play both sides. Was it
with Ty?
With Ty. And Ty was like, no.
Yeah.
And like, that was so iconic, but it's like, also like, was the right move on his part? And like, it's just like, shared idols like are literally
a death sentence.
Yeah. And like, and people knowing you have an idol is also horrible.
Yeah. What the tribe should do here is immediately, they should have voted out Teeny tonight because she had that amulet. They should have voted out Caroline and Andy as soon as they get the chance and just annihilate the amulet. Because they all go back and they tell exactly what happened, which is insane to me.
That's crazy.
It's insane. Oh. Why? What is the purpose of that? Are we even trying anymore?
Why didn't they come up with like a lie that's like, hey, we all turned a ship wheel and like we'll know if we got an extra vote at tribal, but I don't know yet or whatever, something like that.
Or I don't know, maybe they didn't have time to align, but like use the last seconds on your hourglass to say, what's our story? What are we going back and saying? Like, let's make this like, everyone's watched enough seasons where like, what are some of the other ways we could play this? Like we've seen a million twists that like, you don't have to manufacture a random lie. Like that's when people are like, that's weird. But you're like, if you just said, oh yeah, like remember that journey in season 42 where it was this, let's just say that happened. And then everyone will go, oh, that sounds very much like something production would do. And then, but this is my thing that I will stand by. How I need to like have one of those like data people who cares about Survivor in that way, do it. But if you lose your vote, you don't go home ever.
There's definitely it must have. I think there's been.
Do not. If you go on a journey and you lose your vote, you are safe. Literally, there's and your closest ally goes home always, but you never go home.
It's because you're
de-risked.
You're de-risked, which is crazy because then you don't play the game very hard because you don't have a vote. So now you're just like at the mercy of whatever. And then sitting back and trusting in the people you are hoping to trust in, like they create the targets on themselves or on other people. It's like, that's how you should play. You should play like you've always lost your vote.
Yeah.
Like that's
no, literally
like
though.
You should play.
But it's so interesting though, because like it literally de-risks. I think in the new era, like I haven't, I guess I'm not so diligent recently, but like it was like 100%. Like in my season, for example, like Sarah lost her vote, Helen went home.
Yeah.
Matt lost his vote, And so then in our alliance, I went home. Like I was close to them. Like everyone who's close to somebody, but it's like actually kind of sick. Like honestly, at this point, I'm like, go on a journey, lose your vote, you're gonna be fine. Wait,
I don't know. I don't know the
I
history
feel
of
like
it.
there's somebody.
I'm not a super fan.
But either way, all this to say, like, I actually think it's just so interesting that like it always comes out as like, oh man, I'm so scared, I lost my vote. And yes, you lose control of the game, but like you actually, it's like having a 1 week immunity idol.
It
for some reason.
changes the perception of you in the game because everybody's like, oh, they're a helpless little, like they're relying on just everybody, but they have no power whatsoever themselves. So it's totally fine.
And on the other hand, having double votes, which very rarely work, is spooky.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you tell everybody everything you have all the time, it ends up always biting you at some point. While they're on their journey, we get on Lavvo here. Here's where everything starts to ramp up, and we get what do we get here first? We get Keyshawn trying to flip everything on Rome. So he goes to Genevieve. He's like, let's do Rome. They go to Saul. Everybody's good. Everybody's happy. And I knew this was going to happen. It was like Rome goes to Genevieve and is like, Keyshawn used your name as the decoy.
I loved that edit. It was so fun.
Yeah. The little whispers of Keyshawn like being manipulative over her shoulder as she's thinking about it.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Riley?
This plan didn't really make sense to me because Keyshawn was like, even if Teeny loses her vote, we can still get Rome out. But that the math doesn't work because if Rome steals Saul's vote and uses it on and votes for Saul like they had been expecting at that point, then that's a 2-2 vote.
Then it goes to a revote. Does Rome get 2 votes
carries
again?
Over. I'm pretty sure it does. We could check.
Or he becomes like immune because he's the other 2 votes.
Well, so like if they revote and then it's 2-2 again, all the votes are on Saul and Rome, and so then the people drawing rocks would be Keyshawn, Genevieve, and Teeny. That's a disaster for them. So I just don't. I was like, if Teeny loses her vote. Because at this point, she hadn't arrived back from the journey yet when he first floats this. I'm like, then the plan can't go unless they can convince Rome to not play the steal vote. But if he's playing the steal vote, he's locked in.
Or to vote on 2 different people with the steal vote.
To do something like that. Hey,
to be like, hey, put one of your votes on so-and-so so that
But why? Because Saul can't play his shot in the dark.
That's true.
So you don't have to throw the stray vote out there.
Yeah. I kind of was like, I don't understand it fully either. And like, I don't know what happens on the steal a vote. Does that carry over? If it does carry over, then that's...
I thought it carries over because I remember this getting clarified once for an extra vote. And it was like the extra vote does carry through. So I would imagine the steal vote
because it makes sense. Like it, and like your idol still works, like advantages work through the whole vote.
Right.
But I think it was like, just honestly, sadly, like such a blunder and an unneeded one for Keyshawn to make because... And like, I totally feel this. The easiest way to know who is like next in your brain or who your actual target is, or like even in your subconscious, is whoever you suggest as the fake vote, unless they're like a goat that is just always the fake vote, like is who you want to vote out or is like deep down your target. Because the justification always like, I remember like that was really early on why I was like, oh, I like Josh is not going to want to work with me. He like randomly was like, oh, we could say it's you. And I was like, why?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, because they think you're a credible vote out that other people will believe you're going for.
Yeah.
And so it's like, he could have just kept saying, oh, we'll just say it's Rome or, oh, we just think it's Saul and never put one of your alliance members' names up. Let them put their name up. Let Genevieve go.
Yeah.
Let Genevieve go. Oh, yeah, you can use my name. Fine. I wouldn't do that if I was her, but let her offer it. Don't throw your ally's name in the ring, throw yourself or somebody else.
Yeah, should Keyshawn have thrown his own name out? Or would you not do that?
I probably still wouldn't want anyone even thinking my name was coming up, but I think it would have been less bad. Like Genevieve would have been like, oh, okay, he's willing to put his name down for me, as opposed to, oh, let me throw you in because you're credible.
Yeah, I think I think that is pretty standard thought process. But I have, and I think it was, and I hate to give this guy any credit, Ben Driebergen used to just let people use his name as the decoy. And
Totally.
and I think it worked in his advantage because people were like, oh, he trusts us enough. And he's just like, yeah, I'll do whatever you got to do. Put my name down as the decoy. That's great. That's fine. Tell him it's me. That's great. I think that then he doesn't have to put anybody else's name up as a decoy. And
Yeah.
B, it does show that he trusts his group enough to put him on the line a little bit.
Well, that's why that's why I'm saying that's why it was a blunder to offer someone else up. I think
Yes.
because that's exactly it. If he had let her come to it himself and herself and be like, oh yeah, you can say my name, I trust you, or
Yeah.
oh, who should we use as the decoy? And then she's like, oh, fine. But to be like, oh, you'll be the decoy for us, right? You're immediately putting her at the bottom.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I agree. And I think that in that situation, am not saying anyone's name. But I also would be on high alert if somebody was like, Tyson's the decoy. That would also, I'd be like, okay, whoever said that has to go.
I
And
think
that's standard. That's standard gameplay. Whoever says your name as a decoy
Yeah.
is now your target. And I don't think that should always be the case. I think if you
No.
could open up your heart and your brain to navigate that differently, but it's so hard.
And that being said, the fact that she heard it from somebody else though too,
Also bad.
so bad. As opposed to him
Yeah.
saying, hey, this is the plan, coming to it together, and then I'm gonna go spread it. To have your erratic person who he's going for, and he's telling the erratic person that he's targeting your name,
Yeah.
you're like, whoa.
Yeah. I feel like there's an underrated element to throwing yourself as the decoy vote too, because often what that person who the actual target who's going to get that decoy information might choose to do is well, what if I went to that person and flipped it or whatever? We see this happen all the time.
All the time.
Where it's, the real target and they're like, I'm going to go to them. And actually what? So if you throw yourself out there, you're like, hey, actually we're voting for Riley at this tribal council.
Yeah.
And then
you can
that
play it
person
cool.
comes to you and they're like, guess what, man? The vote's on you. You're like, oh, cool. So they relayed that information accurately. And I'm now even more confident that this person is the true target of
The
that
only
line
thing,
summon.
the only way this really doesn't work though is that a lot of people who are willing to throw their name in are cocky and overconfident and say it in this way, or at least in the edit of oh yeah, you can just throw me because we're obviously so locked that nothing will happen. I trust it so much. You have to have some level of that, because then once they're oh, literally they're not even afraid that we're putting their name down. Wait, they're so comfortable.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
might as well
I guess
just
if
use
it's
it.
if you're on let's say a tribe of 5 and it's a 3-2 split or something, all you need is one person that's actually I'm going to make the decoy vote the real vote, and you're going home.
Yeah, that's why
Either
it's
way,
scary.
She read the room so well and did such. I had so much fun watching, and I was like, there wasn't a ton of time. This girl has never spoken before.
Which we knew
this is her
she
first
was
time
before
ever
this
talking.
episode.
It's their first time in life ever talking.
And they literally didn't even, I love that they didn't even acknowledge it. They could have done it. I'm sure at some point in the day she said, okay, it's time to start playing. And they could have made it oh, before this she wasn't. But they just dropped her in as if she had been there the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked it. I got worried for her because she's going to boggle this and it's all going to come back on her. She goes to, I thought it was interesting. So she goes to Saul and is like, hey, you have to vote Kishan out because that's what we're doing. And Saul pulls an Asia and is like, I am unwilling to vote anyone but Rome. You're on the bottom. They're throwing you a lifeline and you're still
But then he ended up voting Kishan.
Yeah, but that plan doesn't sit well with me. And you're just okay, dang, dude. If you're on the bottom, you're just yes, 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 yes. Anything but me. Anything but me. You're right. No, I'm with you.
If any name had been offered to me when I was on that day, that day, Danny and Josh were just so fucking annoying that they didn't think they were so confident and no one was it was just hinged on Heidi. But if Heidi had said, I hate to say it, if Heidi had said any single person, I would have gone. I would have done whatever I needed to do. You say yes and you say, oh, I'm so sad, they're my close ally, or oh, I wouldn't prefer it, but if that's what you think, sure. Or do we have the votes? Okay.
Yeah. At what point did you realize that it was probably going to? I mean, Keyshawn and Teeny saying no one is saying our names right now and giggling about it is the classic Survivor edit.
It was like so. I know it's like you almost like. I'm like at this point, don't say these things. Like, just like don't
you
give them the
soundbite.
I know, true.
Not.
And like, but so I know, and she was just like so. I just like. She was just so cool about it. And I loved, like, you could tell the power she had because I feel like they started to give you that, like, yeah, so you got that. And then the part that I loved was because Rome, too, at first was like, oh, do you think that's actually the right move? Are we going to make that work? Can I trust Saul? And then the fact that when she was talking to Saul on the beach and you just had that scene where Rome walked up, it was like, I'm sorry. And then walked away.
I'm sorry you're feeling the way you're feeling.
But it like was clear that whatever she had said of like, we got to work together. Like, I know you hate him. Resonated, and he came back and was like at least trying to bridge that to some extent or indicate that he would maybe work.
Yeah.
And then I love this was a really good example of the vote steal to secure allegiance. Sorry to jump forward, but like by stealing Keyshawn's vote, he locked in and was clearly showing like that he was on the plan at least. Yeah. And he could have done something really sneaky, but like every indication, if he's stealing Keyshawn's vote and not Saul's vote, would lead you to believe that he is following the plan. So it makes sense that Genevieve went along. And I thought it was even interesting that Saul was still like, I don't know what to do. And you're like, it's laid out. It's here.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that too. Going into tribal, I was like, I honestly don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. And even them going to the votes, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. At tribal, we get, a more of Rome saying that, nobody could have done that puzzle except for the other tribes. Nobody. And Jeff is like, I'm surprised you didn't try a different perspective. And he's like unwavering. He's like, that wouldn't have changed anything. Like, just like so much confidence. Like, Riley, how many worlds upon worlds could you rule if you had the confidence of Rome?
If I had the confidence, probably 0. I think that's like that's too much confidence to ascend to that type of position.
You think it's too much? It's a detriment.
Oh, dude, this guy Rome, he is not winning Survivor. Like, let's be clear. The downfall is coming. He's overconfident. We have a word for this. Overconfident.
Yeah.
And he's going to get knocked from that pedestal, and it is going to be glorious. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
And he's going to bring everyone around him down with him.
Just like
I hope so.
Drag everybody down.
Either he brings everybody down, or it's the people around him who turn and actually, cause that downfall.
Or they go out one by one, and he's the last remaining person of all the people he latched onto.
Maybe, yeah.
And as they go out, they're like, I should have never hitched my boat to Rome.
I just hope he doesn't see it coming. I hope it's just,
he won't.
Absolutely can't. Yeah, he can't possibly envision a scenario where he gets voted out of the game, so he definitely won't. Yeah, I can't wait. Part of me was hoping that it's this episode. Now I'm actually glad that we get more time with him to
a better blindside than any Tyson blindside.
That you do mean blindsides against you or blindsides that
against
you
me?
Organized?
Against me.
You've had some. You had a good one.
Token Cheats is really good. I was sitting on top of the world there. So, yeah.
I also think it's just like insane. It was just like so. I felt so bad for Keyshawn in that moment. Obviously, like I thought it was a really great game move, and I'm like obsessed. I thought it was so fun, and it was like good TV. But it just sucks because truly, like, and it's his fault technically for not having the awareness to be like, this is a possibility that I should plan for. But once your vote gets stolen, your brain is probably going a million. You can't shot in the dark anymore.
Play it cool. 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 That's all you're thinking is like, play it cool. Play it cool. Play it cool. Hopefully, like something happens. I don't know. And if I exit, I don't want to look like a total bitter asshole. Like that's like literally you're just calculating your exit and how to do it appropriately.
Yes.
And your mind is just blank.
100%. Like
you're fuming, you're raging, but you know you can't fume or rage. And so it's just a little bit and you're like, what's a good comment? So like, maybe it's not even me. Maybe something wonky's going on.
Yes. And that's why the only reason you don't burn all the bridges though,
Yeah.
because of like, there's that one chance that you're
Thread.
going to be okay,
Yeah.
which sucks too. And I think about that too, where like, I was like, ugh, like with my shot in the dark, it was like, there's a chance that I have to go back tomorrow. But like, I was like, there's the part of me that was like, it would have just been fun to like blow shit up. And like, I'm going to the pre-jury. This doesn't matter. Like, but I guess the 1 in 6 chance that I was going to be okay made me not go full like fun.
Yeah.
And also he was like, had way less time to think about that.
So much, so little time. And you see immediately throughout the tribal council, Keyshawn's talking about trust and like dealing with people's unlikable qualities. And there's a level of hubris there of him, smiling and enjoying the game.
Speaking of overconfident dudes who had a downfall, like Keyshawn definitely had this episode.
You saw his face change immediately from, I got this to, crazy. Oh shit. And, we get to the time to vote. I didn't know who was going. Like, I literally was like, I don't know who's getting voted out. Is it Rome? Is it Saul? Is it Keyshawn? Is it Genevieve? I literally was like, I think it's Genevieve. I really do think it's going to, all of this circled back on her. She did too much and it's going to be her.
I thought the only reason I felt confident going into tribal, had no idea. The minute Rome stole Keyshawn's vote, I thought it was pretty set.
Yeah.
That was like the only reason I felt like, at that point, I actually was like, okay, Keyshawn's gone. Like,
yeah.
I was wondering if Saul was going to vote with them or not. But once Rome did it, I just was like
Genevieve.
reading it as, the issue was I was reading as Genevieve and no one was talking about her for so long. And now they're saying her name a lot. And so I'm like, oh, Genevieve. But then I was like, oh, Genevieve's going to lock in. The two of them are going to just like, then we're good.
Yeah.
The only thing I was thinking about with the votes is Saul going to go with them or not?
Do something crazy, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if you'd play Shot in the Dark just out of like, this is
just
crazy. I don't
do
know
it, yeah.
But
it
I
makes
would be also like, if he plays a Shot in the Dark, me as Genevieve and Rome are annoyed. Like, I'm like, we told you we're doing this. He stole his vote. We didn't steal your vote because we trusted you. This was your chance to show that it's the three of us. And then like, I would have been like,
the three of them? like, I don't know. I wouldn't be under like too much of a impression that.
How long can Genevieve hold it together? How long can Genevieve hold it together with those two?
Not even until they get back to camp.
Okay. Well, here's my only argument to that is Teeny looks at Rome after he plays the extra vote advantage or the steal a vote advantage and goes, what the hell? And Rome doesn't even flinch. He just keeps he's just straight ahead, no remorse whatsoever. Just like, it's me, sorry. Like, to me, that was just like, okay, if Rome is vindictive and arrogant, and now he's like out for Teeny because she had this plan to get Rome with Keyshawn.
Yeah,
she's
dead to Rome.
I think though, lucky that she couldn't vote, so she didn't accidentally make an ass of herself and play against him, and or revoke. Like, you know, but it was so interesting. Like, it was stone cold. People here are grudgy. They have little grudges all the time. Like Sue's pulling up with grudges. Everyone's just like really. But I thought it was and then like Teeny turning to Genevieve and being like, "What just happened?" And I thought Genevieve was also stone cold, like laying in that shelter with him and being like, yeah, it sucks. Somebody's going to go home or something. And she's like, that's horrible. Like, that sucks. Like, that's so bad for them. And I was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed. I'm like, it's so sad to me because I'm like, I mean, unless they're going back to the olden, like Natalie White edits and like random like women under edits, I'm like, she can't win. She got one confessional for the first 3 episodes. I'm like, but I love her. I'm obsessed. So I'm like actually annoyed. I'm like, I'm rooting for her in this like crazy way, but I'm like, why did production it makes me feel hard to root for her because I just don't know how you're going to put somebody who we didn't know her name until the 4th episode. But
that happens.
They did it with Erica. They did it with Erica in 41.
And we all love her.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, she ended up having, like a strong merge,
Finish.
although was
Totally.
not in the 90-minute episode era, so maybe we would have
Right.
gotten some Verica. It's very bizarre to have somebody get nothing when we've got 90 minutes. We got so much time.
That is true.
That's
is
what
true.
yeah, and like you could just give her like the basic boilerplate, like we're going to tribal tonight.
Yeah.
Like you could give her the like they make everyone go through every scenario in their thing where they say what could happen tonight, and she could go. The vote might go to Asia. The vote might go to there.
Yeah.
You could give her 1 ounce of strategy. The other thing is, I actually am wondering if now that she's hitched to 2 people who hate each other, it's like kind of a done deal of like implosion, and she's gonna get astray. Whereas like I actually think Teeny's now freed up to kind of move, and Teeny also did just get 2 people to like to trust. So I'm like, it's an interesting one where I actually think Teeny's in a good free agent spot, or if they lose again, maybe not. But I actually think Teeny like still could be fine.
I think Saul is kind of freed up on that tribe too, where it's like, why I don't know why you'd even look at him now. It's like, it's gonna be like Teeny and Rome and kind of Rome and Genevieve, but then also like I think you could probably easily convince Rome into being intimidated by Genevieve. It's like, hey man, that was, kind of her move, even though you used the shot in dark. So I don't know.
The only thing is she did a really good job though of laying out everything. I remember this in that she laid everything out to Rome and said, so what should we do? Or like, what do you want to do? And that was on the beach being like, these are the things that I'm hearing, blah, blah, blah. What should we do? As opposed to with Saul, she was like, here's the plan. But with Rome, she gave him the like ounce of thinking he's in the driver's seat, which I thought was really, really smart.
Yeah.
And if they go back and she goes, good job. Oh my God, you crushed that. Like you did such a good plan.
She could go after Rome as her next move because she was the one who initially floated it in this episode. And then once it was like she was the decoy, she's like, actually, I'm going a different direction. So she could just return right to that plan.
And I think Teeny's reasonable and like, I mean, will be probably upset, but I think Teeny's enough of like a fan to know that like to preserve.
Yeah. Teeny's like level headed too. Teeny's like, she'll be okay, I think.
Yeah, totally.
Well, with that, Riley, let's get to our predictions.
Next time on Survivor, brand new Survivor twist, says Probst. What do we think?
Tyler Perry idol.
What's the Tyler Perry idol?
Where,
you gotta have Tyler Perry in your bag?
No, you get to it's a twist they've already done. But I thought of that.
Which one is it?
It's the Invincible idol where like that's how Tony won his first time.
Super idol. Like
you
can
play it after the votes.
So
but that's not a brand new. That's not a brand new Survivor twist.
Yeah, I mean, did Apple reinvent the iPhone a month ago? Not especially, but they claim they did.
They've reinvented it every year.
Every year for 15 years. No, I don't know. I think I don't know. I have no idea what it could be. Like there's so many things it could be. It could be something so ludicrous to something so minuscule. What kind of twist do you want to see? I think it's something cross-tribal, some type of cross-tribal twist or cross-tribe twist. Yeah.
I feel like it might be some kind of like swap that's done differently. Like maybe it's like some kind of like schoolyard pick type thing or something in that vein. A lot of times they will tease the like drop your buffs or whatever if they're doing a swap. So that would be, they didn't do that. So perhaps
I know.
It's not,
I'm like,
other than just like a random like pulling this thing, could be like you guys are choosing your new tribes, kind of what you were saying.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Tyson.
I would love. I think schoolyard picks should be used in every single instance physically possible on Survivor.
Yeah, that does the thing that it does is it shows that hierarchy immediately of who thinks what about what person, which I do like. So yeah, I mean, I think it is something like that. Like it's something where it involves all three tribes together. So it could be some type of swap 'em.
Yeah. I mean, because it seemed like it was at a challenge that he was unveiling it too.
Maybe they vote who to get rid of to go to a different tribe.
Ooh, gross.
Gross.
I wouldn't want to have to vote, like just to be part of that. Exile somebody.
Yeah, you've got to exile somebody to go to a different tribe. What do you think, Claire? Do you have any hopes or dreams for the twist?
I have hopes and dreams, but I think it'll also be something like, I don't know.
like Rome all of a sudden finds 4 more
Yeah,
advantages.
or like literally, or like I think it'll be something where it's like just a combination of 2 twists. Like I'm sure there's something where like another tribe gets to watch another tribe doing some random thing, or
Yeah.
like they get to borrow somebody for 6 hours longer than in another season has been. I don't know if it's
like it's super underwhelming.
but we'll
yeah.
see.
Yeah.
I would love, but
Cochrane comes into camp
and
while
takes you to lunch.
takes you to lunch while Sia plays music in the background while Mike White narrates the whole thing with John Lovett comes back.
John Lovett comes back.
Maybe they'll just do like a live on fire podcast during the episode, and that's
Yes.
the twist.
That's the twist. Yeah. What are you hoping for, Riley? You got anything specifically you're hoping for on a twist?
Well, I was thinking like schoolyard pick.
That's your
tribe
favorite. That's your
swap.
favorite idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. It's tough. I'm always nervous about a new twist. It's like you never know. I think it's gonna like screw up a whole episode of the show. Or...
I was like, what if they just like made them all live on the same beach again? But that's not a new twist.
Yeah.
No.
I am excited to see it. Every time they announce a new twist, I am excited to see what they came up with because they do have rooms full of people discussing what the twist could be and how it could potentially play out.
Yeah. Let's do winner picks.
Who did I have last week? Did we have the same person?
I don't remember. I thought I had Rachel.
I think I had Rachel too. I'll stay with Rachel. I think she's still in an okay spot. She's a breadwinner.
It was such a quiet. She's
yellow.
She's a breadwinner.
Yeah. Go ahead, Claire.
I don't think it's Rachel only. I love Rachel. Rachel's like one of my favorite characters. I just feel like they're focusing so much on Annika over her when giving. I like read too much into this, but I think Rachel is a really good place. I kind of I'm trying to like even remember who's in this show.
Okay, I'll tell you who.
Blue Tribe.
Yeah.
Blue
So
Tribe.
Blue Tribe.
Caroline, Gabe, Kyle, Sue, and Tiana.
Okay, I actually don't want to be serious or thoughtful about this, so I'm just gonna say Gabe.
Gabe.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like it's just like a rogue one, and like it'd be fun if he like came back from being kind of bumbling at the beginning. And I feel like Blue's gonna ride kind of hard together because they have that same dynamic of like older woman who's really locked in with younger women who are loyal as a pack with one person. And like I feel like Yellow and Red just seem like they hate each other and are gonna go crazy. Or is it Yellow and Red? Yeah, they just like are all gonna implode.
Okay. I'll stick with Rachel for now because she hasn't given me any reason to jump ship. But Saul's stock rose so much this episode.
Yes.
The fact that he's gotten through after being on the bottom for multiple episodes. And now a couple things here. Teeny's kind of on the outs because she was going to go along with the plan. She didn't write a name down, so that's okay for her. But Genevieve has also showcased to the group that she can drive the ship.
I just think I would have honestly, I think also there's like a real teeny one where lose your close idol or close ally really early on, get a good twist next episode and like go all the way. Yeah. So that's another one that I was considering. And I want Genevieve to win. I love her.
Okay.
But I still will say Rome or whatever because is that his name?
You said Gabe.
Gabe, sorry.
Yeah.
Rome would have been a fun pick.
You picking Rome, Riley?
I'm not picking Rome. I think I'll pick Saul, actually. I feel like I have no read on this season right now. Usually it feels like there's a few people that you're like a Genevieve or a Rome, honestly, who have gotten like a certain tone to their edit where you're like, okay, this person probably is not winning. They wouldn't have done it like this if they won. But
well, that's why
it's kind of flawed and like weird, and so I don't know. I just like Saul. Saul is great. I'm rooting for him, so I think I'm picking him more out of that than like a genuine belief that he's going to win because I think it's wide open right now.
Yeah, and I think the thing too is we're not seeing a disaster tribe every single week for half of the episode, so we're not getting to know. And the disaster tribe, lots of times the remnants of that tribe have a deep run. We don't have that this season unless Red can turn it around for us and become a disaster, a full-on disaster. then we're not going to have this. Also, I want to point out, Sue is 59. She said she's almost 15 years younger than she is.
Yep.
Riley, that would be like you coming into Survivor and being like, I'm the first 12-year-old to ever play this game.
Not that young. It'd be me saying I'm like 17. Which like same thing, like earlier, I don't mean that Sue looks bad for 45. But if I came in and I was like, hey guys, I'm actually like 22, it'd be like, oh, that's a hard 22. What are you doing?
It's also just, for me, it's not even looks. It's just that like she has already said that she has kids and a grandkid.
Yeah.
So if you're 45, you have to
start
be
doing the
popping
math.
out a kid. Like the math has to be like two 16-year-olds having kids or something. Like it's like you just set
It could be
yourself
like
up for some hard math.
20 something. Is that if she's slipped like how old the grandkid is, which I don't know how old the grandkid is.
Yeah.
But if she's like, oh, the grandkid's in kindergarten, then you're like, wait a second.
Yeah, if the grandkid is more than a couple years old, you immediately start to be like, it's just the math starts to get like really like you just one slip up
tight.
And you're doing it. Yeah.
Really tight.
It's like when Josh pretended that he wasn't a doctor and had like an 8-year gap in his resume.
Yeah. You're like, what'd you do for those 8 years? Gap years.
Just discovered myself.
Took 8 gap years to backpack through Europe. So she's 59. Saul is 43, and John Lovett is 42. So those are the next two oldest people. They put like that's such an age gap there, and those three are not the same. But again, hard and fast living, I guess. So the life experience of a 59-year-old and a 45-year-old.
I did like that Kyle, even on seemingly believing that she's 45, was like, wow, like, God willing, you still have a lot of time left or whatever. Like, still talking to her like she's quite old.
I love Kyle. He's so goofy. He's so weird. Where did they find him?
The backwoods of Michigan. Sheboygan. Yeah. What else we got, Riley?
Let's do who's going home next week.
Ooh. So we saw some infighting on Blue Tribe. Sue and Kyle.
It just seems like Sue cannot stand Kyle at all. And then Kyle has offered no thoughts on Sue other than he thinks that she has a lot of years left to live.
Yeah. He's still trying to work with her, which I like that he's just like so level-headed about it. I think though, man.
I think I have my guess if you want to think.
Yeah, go. Let's see what you got.
This is twist agnostic. Like if the twist happens and changes the tribes, then I take this back. I think Red could lose again. Okay. And then I think Genevieve, Teeny, and Saul could go, this is a really like logical, reasonable trio. It's time. Like Rome has served his purpose. Like we have a road. Ooh. He's like really cocky and take him out then.
Okay. I don't mind that. I think could definitely happen. Yeah.
And like the four of them, like they'll just be like, if it's a puzzle or something, like I could see them going down.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually very smart. I like that. And I kind of want to say the same thing.
You could do like you pick another tribe and do the equation.
I'll do Yellow Tribe. Yellow Tribe, I think Andy goes. I think they get rid of his advantage. And I think that Sam and Sierra are kind of like, he's kind of driving a wedge between us a little bit. Sam might try to protect him, but then Annika and Rachel will be happy to get rid of Andy.
Okay, I like this. I'll take the Blue Tribe then.
Okay.
And imagine if they lose. I think so. There's no. Well, Sue has the idol now on that.
But everybody knows that she was caught red-handed with something.
She is a powerful idol too.
She was caught with a devastating tongue injury, Tyson.
But that's true.
She was not caught with anything, all right?
With a machete to the tongue injury, yes.
She's got the sympathy vote or the sympathy no vote in Survivor going for her as well, as she recovers from this tongue disaster.
Yeah. If you're 45 and you look like you do, you need this money way more than anybody else here.
Yeah. She can live out the rest of her years in luxury.
She's got a lot of them left, yeah.
I think Kyle goes. I think she's going to win this fight. She's got Gabe in her pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's Carolyn who's scared of like the bromance stuff. So I think she'll go along with it. So I think Kyle will be the odd one out on Blue.
Yeah. Which is sad because he's only been level-headed, but like that's sometimes the way it goes, you know, like Sue is not backing down. She's unwilling to work with Kyle because he wrote her name down the first tribal council they went to.
She seems, and I think this may end up biting her later in the show. She seems somewhat tunnel visioned. You know, it's like every time we're hearing from Sue, she's just like, I got to get this guy Kyle out.
Yeah. But that's why Gabe likes her.
Yeah.
So,
well, I do not
that's why he
love
wants
the
to work
way
with her.
Gabe seems to be like, you know, if I get like an older mom, I can just sort of like get that vote to go along with me or whatever is the vibe that it gives me. So I don't love that from Gabe either, but I think that they can at least work together for a vote or two.
Yeah. Yeah. What else we got?
That's it. That's everything.
Okay. Thank you all for tuning in. Claire, thank you so much for giving us your insight and time. Always a pleasure. Riley, again, for never leaving my side. I love you, man.
Do you need Tyson, if you need somebody while he's on pat leave, let me know.
Wait, Riley, are you not staying through the whole season?
Come on, buddy. Why are you doing this? We got to begin and end with this bit.
We'll talk, Claire. A big thanks to our producer, Ashleigh, who makes all the magic happen behind the scenes, makes us sound great, makes my 45-year-old aged breathing less noticeable on the pod. Thank you all for tuning in. Until next week, see ya.